things about the Trey Show is we cover a lot of different things, and one of them is sports and sports betting. So we got the first week of the NFL playoffs coming up. This is actually one of my favorite sports weekends of the year because there's so many different games and there's so much on the line. So we're going to go through each of the games, and three of us are going to make our picks. We're going to talk about the spread, obviously who's playing who, and then we're going to keep track of our records throughout the playoffs. And then as we continue this segment into new seasons, this is something that we're going to always do, and then we're going to kind of keep our records between the three of us, and just see who's better at picking these things. Because I know for some of us, there'll be real money on the line this weekend for some of these games. Trey, I'm looking at you. So let's start with the first game. So Indy at Buffalo. So Buffalo's favored half. So before I make my pick, Trey, let's do, and then we'll go to Tony, and then I'll close this out.
All right, so Indiana at Buffalo. Buffalo's the hottest team in the NFL right now. Obviously, everybody likes Kansas City. They're still good. Indiana, solid team. Frank Reich is their coach. Phillip Rivers is their quarterback. I thought they were going to be terrible. I thought Phillip Rivers was done. Having said that, Buffalo is so hot. Josh Allen is playing so well. The defense is playing so well. Give me Buffalo -6.5. In Buffalo, with some weather, you got a dome team traveling to Buffalo with weather. Give me Buffalo -6.5.
Okay. All right. Tony, what about you?
So I don't know the spread thing. I don't ever gamble, so I feel left out on that one. But football-wise, I'm going to go with Buffalo, man. That team, they're doing good this season. I'm happy that Rivers made it to the playoffs, though. That's pretty cool. I've been watching him for a long time. I'm a fan of him as a person, maybe not necessarily think he's the best player ever or anything, but he seems like a pretty good guy, like kind of country, super religious, whatever.
You always had him in fantasy.
I did for a long. When I first started playing fantasy, he's a solid backup, man. He's definitely a solid number two, someone to have on your bench, kind of like another Roethlisberger, maybe someone that you can always keep. But for the game, I'm going to have to go with Buffalo. I think something's. I may go as far as saying I could go with them for the rest of the playoffs and into the championship. So let's see what happens. What about you, Chris?
So Bills have actually covered 6 of their last 8 home games, Trey, in terms of covering the spread. They're actually tied for second best cover rate at home in the NFL. I think I agree they're the superior team to begin with. I'm actually not a fan of Phillip Rivers. Tony, it's interesting that you are. I know. So Ben Roethlisberger is probably the only other quarterback I dislike as much as Phillip Rivers. Yeah, we'll get into the Steelers a little bit here in a minute. But to me, I think straight up Buffalo wins, and I also think they cover the spread. I agree with you, Trey, for all the reasons you called out, right? You got a dome team headed in, to one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in the NFL. The weather is probably going to play a factor to some degree. I just think Buffalo's, and I agree with you, Tony. I think Buffalo could take it all the way this year. So that's going to be an interesting game. I'm actually looking forward to that. All right, so we've all got Buffalo. So let's move to the next game. So now we've got the LA Rams against Seattle. Seattle is favored by 3.5. So Tony, we'll start with you. Who you got in this game?
Seattle in this one. I've always been a fan of their 12th man thing they got going on. So I don't know, man. Their receivers they got stacked on receivers with Metcalf, and if you got him, what else do you really need? Even though they've got a couple more that are just as good. And Lockett, I don't really even know who their tight end is, but I don't even think it matters. Metcalf and Lockett, deep. It's just I don't know about, is Carson back? I know he was injured, dude. I haven't watched any football in like 2 weeks.
Goff is back. Yep.
No. They're Seattle's running
back. Oh, I don't know.
I think he was injured. He was out like half the season, I think, but it didn't even matter. I mean, Metcalf like the whole season. So I'm gonna go with Seattle. I do think the LA's got something going on, but I just don't think they'll be able to pull it off against Seattle.
Trey, what about you?
All right, so the Rams have been struggling. They have not looked good. Goff has not looked good. Goff hurt his hand, so he was out. They've had a lot of issues. Seattle have also had their struggles, which I'm surprised. Tony, you called out DK Metcalf. He's so freaking good. He's a beast. He's a monster. They obviously have Russell Wilson, but they've had their struggles as well. So I'm going to take Seattle straight up but LA Rams plus the 3.5. So it just depends if you're betting the spread or straight up, because it's a division game, right?
We're picking off the spread, so you taking the Rams.
Well, I'm giving you, and I'm saying both. With the spread, I want the Rams, but I'm just calling it. Okay, so give me the Rams, but I'm saying the Seahawks are going to win straight up, but the Rams are going to cover. So if you're betting your buddy who's going to win straight up, take the Seahawks. That's an easy 3.5 at home. A little bit different home field advantage with COVID. You still get Russell Wilson. You still get DK Metcalf, but it's still the Rams. You still got Sean McVay. You know, they still have the ability to have a high-powered offense. So I think the Rams cover. So that's my pick, Chris, the Rams. But I think Seattle wins straight up.
Okay. So I think Seattle's going to be...
Am I allowed to do that?
This is the Trey Show, so I think you're allowed to do whatever you want.
But you keep us in check, and you provide the structure, so I want to be respectful of that.
Well, the only pick that I'm writing down for you is the Rams, because this is about covering. So you picked the Rams. So it's good to see you deviate, because I'm actually going to go with Seattle, because I think Seattle obviously is tough at home. We talked about the 12th man, Tony. Goff is only a couple weeks removed from thumb surgery, and he's been inconsistent anyway.
He has.
Russell Wilson is still in the prime of his career, maybe starting to move toward the second half of the prime of his career. But I just like Seattle to cover at home. I just think they're a tough team. I think they've had some really good games this season. And I just see Russell Wilson going off in this game. It'll be interesting to see what the Rams front four can do to try and put some pressure on him. But again, Wilson's one of the best passers, both in the pocket and running outside of the pocket. I mean, he's just so versatile. So I'm going to go with Seattle to cover the 3.5. But I do like Trey. I like it that you gone out on a limb and gone with the Rams. So this is going to be a fun game for us to watch.
Division game, man. Division game. Yeah. It's. I can't wait to watch it.
It's going to be a fun one. All right. So the next one that's going to be really interesting for us to watch is Tampa Bay of Washington. You obviously got Tom Brady, and then for us here in Dallas, the NFC East, just the debacle that was that entire division all year. So right now, Tampa Bay, even though they're at Washington, they're favored by 8.5. Now, usually a home team gets 3, so really that means the Tampa Bay is favored by 11.5. So, Trey, start with you again. What do you think?
Yeah, so normally a home playoff team getting 8.5 points in the NFL, I'm a big fan of. If you can get a team that's at home that's half decent, so not the Jaguars and not the Jets, then you take the points, especially in the playoffs. However, we know how bad the NFC East is and was this year. Washington is not very good. I love the Alex Smith story. It would be great to see him win a playoff game. I think that's fantastic. I'm a big fan of his. However, you got the GOAT. You got TB12. I don't know that he has enough to go through the rest of the playoffs, but he at least has one in him. And I think Tampa Bay destroys him. So give me Tampa Bay, and I'll lay
minus 8.5. -8.5. Yeah. Okay.
Mike Evans is going to play. It's too much. Too real for you, Billy.
I like the guts. All right, Tony, what do you got?
Yeah, man, Tampa Bay. I feel like it's going to be it's going to be one of those games where you're like, I don't even know why I'm watching this anymore. In my opinion, I feel like it. We got Gronk, Evans, Brady. I mean, yeah, I like Alex Smith, but I think Brady's going to get pulled in the end of the third quarter because they're going to be up by so much. They just want to save him. And but yeah, I do also feel like he's only got one. I feel like this is his one playoff win. You know, he came out of New England. Everyone was like, can he do it? You know, is he going to be able to play away from Belichick, you know, make it anywhere? Dude, he's made it to the playoffs. They're going to win the first game. And then if they go out, I mean, he should still go out with his head held high. As much as I can't stand Brady, I mean, yeah, he's the GOAT, dude. Like, you can't argue with it. I mean, you could try, but it is what it is. And I think Tampa Bay's – I don't even think Washington's going to put up a fight. I mean, it'd be nice to see a good game, but I don't think it's going to be a good game.
All right, so this is where I'm going to deviate from you guys. So I agree. Washington shouldn't even be in the playoffs, but they're in the playoffs. And what you can argue is that once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. Now, part of the problem for Washington is their offense is horrible. They're actually ranked 31st in offensive efficiency in the league. But the Bucs have actually been a bit inconsistent, but they're still good. They still have Brady. And 8.5 points is a lot of points to cover. So I'm going to kind of go in with you did before, Trey. The Bucs are going to win this game. I don't think there's any question they're going to win the game. But when you take the points into account, I'm taking the points. And so I'm actually going to take Washington with 8.5 points. That's a lot of points in playoff football. In playoff football, you're playing to win, not to run the score up. And so when you're looking at 8.5, that's just really tough. Washington has had their moments, so I'm going to count on them to do something. So I'm taking Washington, and then Tony and Trey, I got you guys at Tampa Bay. All right, next game. We got Baltimore at Tennessee. Baltimore is actually favored by 3.5, so we got another home team that's not favored. So Trey, we'll start with you again.
So I'm going Baltimore here. Man, that's a good game. I can't wait to watch it. And this is tough because I really like both of those teams. Baltimore got bounced, I believe, in the first round of the play. It was either their first game or the first round last year. They struggled for the middle part of this year, and they've just turned it on. They found another gear. Lamar Jackson's been playing awesome. Des Bryant has scored a couple of touchdowns.
He should have taken their deal when they first offered it to him, man.
It's one of those things where, man, I'm happy for him. I think that's really cool. Obviously near and dear to our heart for being a Cowboy, but seeing him go out there and have a little bit of success is really cool. I think Baltimore's a little bit more dynamic. I think they have a really good coach. Now Tennessee, obviously they have Derrick Henry. So I was going to say Baltimore has the best player on the field. I actually think Tennessee has the best player on the field. Derrick Henry rushed for over 2,000 yards this year. But I think you can stop, if you're willing to sell out, and Baltimore is always a physical football team, you can sell out and stop Derrick Henry. It's hard to, if Lamar Jackson plays well, you can't stop him. Because he can run, he can throw. I always remember the Cleveland game this year and what he did when he came back in after going doo-doo or whatever they said he was doing. But man, Mike Vrabel's a really good coach. I think Tennessee is so solid. I would not have a problem with them making a run. They're just not dynamic enough. Tannehill's played way above his potential. He's played really, really well. But and maybe he'll prove me wrong. I didn't think he was very good coming out of A&M. And he's proved me wrong where he's I don't know about a very good NFL quarterback, but he's a good NFL quarterback. What is that, a 7 on the IGN scale? He's a 7, right? So I can't wait to watch it, but I'll take Baltimore and lay the 3.5 on the road.
Okay. Tony?
I'll take Tennessee. I like Derrick Henry, so I think he's going to be – I think it's going to be a running game. He's going to pound it in. Tannehill, what do they call him? Journeyman quarterbacks. Like, he's kind of been around the league for a while. He's played with a few different teams. He was in Miami for a while, wasn't he? I mean, it's always been he's another person that technically you could probably have on your fantasy team as your second string. If you needed a backup quarterback that could probably get you some points from time to time. I can't stand Baltimore. I always have hated them ever since they knocked the Cowboys out of the playoffs. What was that? Whatever game that was. Years and years ago,
the last game at Texas Stadium.
I was at that game. That's another reason.
Wow.
Who was that? Ray Rice ran all over us that game. So, Jackson's a good quarterback, and I don't know. It's going to be a good game. I think it will be a good game, but I'm going to go with Tennessee just because of Henry. I think he's going to just run all over him.
All right, and I got Baltimore. So Trey, you and I are viewing this one pretty similar. I think Baltimore is a more complete team. I completely agree. Henry's the best player on the field. He's going to get his yards. But, I think you can go one of two ways. You can either stack the line, force them to beat you but with the pass, or let Henry get his yards, and then you just know that you can outplay them, with their best player having his best game, and you're going to take away the rest of the field from them. So, I think there's some different things, but Baltimore has a rebuilt defense that's really solid, and their offense is dynamic. They can do a lot of different things. So, I think Baltimore wins, and I think Baltimore covers. So, all right, a couple more games. So next game is Chicago at New Orleans. This is an interesting one. New Orleans is favored by 10. And so this is a big number. So Trey, who you got?
It's Tony's turn to go first.
Tony, who you got?
New Orleans. I'll go with New Orleans. I shouldn't, but I didn't even know Chicago was made the playoffs. What the hell? Who's their quarterback? Is it Trubisky?
They lost, but they still got in because Arizona lost.
It's Trubisky? Is it still
Yeah.
Mitch, whatever his name is?
Yeah. Mitch Kramer.
New Orleans, man, all the way. They haven't really been paying much attention to them this year, but Breeze is still playing. They've got some. Is Michael Thomas playing? He's still playing, isn't he? He didn't get injured. I think they'll do all right.
Oh.
I know he was out for a while. They're what do you call it? Swiss Army knife of a quarterback that comes in and relieves Breeze from time to time. That kid's got something special. I'll just go with New Orleans. Fuck Chicago.
All right, Trey, who you got?
So Chicago backed into the playoffs. Trubisky, who I'm actually a little bit of a fan of, a little bit of an underdog story. He's a dual threat. He can run a little bit. I always thought that he gave them a better chance to win than Foles. And Foles went on that magical run with Philadelphia and had, 4 or 5 really, really good games. Kudos to him. But seeing Trubisky come in, he won enough games to get them into the playoffs, although they did back into it. Having said that, give me the Saints. Lay the 10. They're just too good. And I Drew Brees, and I know he's got all the records, and Taysom Hill, and Taysom Hill's a badass. I don't know. They kind of get on my nerves, the Who Dat Nation and all that crap. But having said that, my money's on the Saints. Go Saints.
All right, so I'm going to deviate from you guys on this one.
Geaux Saints.
There's no question the Saints are going to win the game. I think New Orleans might be going to the Super Bowl. And I don't think Chicago has much of a chance to win, but man, 10 points is a lot. The other thing, remember too, is Breeze
New
is
Orleans
still
has to go to Green Bay if they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Sorry.
That's going to be a good game, but Breeze is still recovering from his rib injury. That game a couple of weeks ago, watching him throw the ball, he was ginger. Now maybe he's better now. There's been a little bit of time for him, but I don't know that. I think I see them pulling him if they get ahead by a little bit, and then that gives Chicago a chance to kind of get a couple garbage touchdowns or whatever to kind of close the gap. To me, I see this as one of those ones where Chicago is going to get a late field goal or a touchdown. And it's going to close the gap and ruin a bunch of bettors' lives.
Yep.
I don't see them winning the game though. So I'm going to go with Chicago just because the 10 is a big number. That's like a college football number, not an NFL number.
The issue with laying the points, and even the same thing with Tampa Bay, New Orleans, think about it. New Orleans could be up by 16, right, in the fourth quarter with 4 minutes to go. They're okay with giving up a score.
Yep, they are. That's exactly right. That's why I think the big numbers are tough.
The backdoor cover is absolutely in play on numbers like that. So that's a good call. It's a good call, but.
All right, guys, last game, which oddly might be the one I'm most interested in watching. It's Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's favored by 6, which I find really interesting. I would have thought that they would have been favored by a little bit more than that. I'm very opinionated on this one, but Trey, we'll start with you.
I think you should go first. You haven't gone first yet.
Oh, thanks. It's simple for me. I hate the Steelers. There are a few teams in sports that I hate as much as the Steelers. And Trey, that I'm not a fan at all of Roethlisberger for a lot of reasons. And I just refuse to pick the Steelers in any circumstance. So I'm going with Cleveland to win and to cover. And I do this knowing that both their coach and some of their players are all going to be out due to COVID, which is just such a Cleveland thing, right? They finally get into the playoffs. They have a great regular season and then shoot themselves in the foot by getting COVID. They just can't do that. Was it Tom Brady? I think that made a comment to his team, don't fucking get COVID. think it was Tom Brady that did that said, like, we're in the playoffs, everybody, like, stay in your bubble, don't get COVID, let's go win this thing.
That's cool.
Cleveland probably, I'm imagining just went partying, and then they all basically come back with COVID. But I actually think this will be, when I'm rooting for the Browns, so you talk about an underdog story, Trey, like, I think it'd be really cool for the Browns to actually finally win a playoff game, and just kind of do something. And for me, it'd be a double win, get to see them beat Pittsburgh at home for Pittsburgh. I just think that'd be amazing. So, Trey, what do you think?
So I think Pittsburgh has a lot of issues. They were a team that was, God, how many games did they win before they lost?
They were on a roll. They were undefeated for a while. So
maybe 11 or 12. But Roethlisberger, and I'm opposite of you. I'm a Roethlisberger fan. I like him. I like the way he plays. Even now he's still so strong. He's slow, but he'll stiff arm people in the pocket, and he'll move and he'll navigate. And I think I always had, being a Cowboy fan, I've still always had a ton of respect for how Pittsburgh plays the game and how they go about their business and their drafting and everything like that. So I like Pittsburgh. However, I think they're just so flawed. Cleveland, I think it's going to come down to Baker Mayfield, and not for the fact that he needs to throw 45 passes and throw for 4 touchdowns and 450. Cleveland's going to run the ball, right? They have a really, really strong running game with Chubbs. They're going to run the ball. What Baker needs to do is have a very efficient 20 or 25 passes, right? He needs to have 250 yards, a touchdown or two, and he needs to go, 15 of 23 or something like that. He needs to not turn the ball over. He needs to not force it, because I think on paper they're the better team. So he needs to be smart enough to go, man, let's go in here. Let's play our game. Let's run the ball. Let's run these guys down. And I think they have a really good chance to win the game. The COVID thing, that's unfortunate. I think their coach is really good, so it sucks not have him there. But I think they'll be okay beyond those things. So no doubt, I will take Cleveland plus a 6. That's way too many to pass up. But I also would take them to win straight up.
All right. That's actually surprising. I'm very happy to hear you take that position. Tony, what about you?
I'm going to go with Cleveland for a few reasons. I think Mayfield's going to be able to pull it off this year. I don't know. I didn't like him coming out of college. I thought he was going to wind up being another Manziel, another Johnny Football, super cocky kid. Kind of seems like he's matured over the year. And, what has he got, like 6 or 7 commercials now? So he's trying to be like Manning or something like that. That's kind of cool, whatever. And I think I'm doing it too because of the fan base, man. That's the Browns. I used to work with someone that was from Cleveland that would fly up and watch a game usually during like the coldest part of winter a year, and they would always bring back pictures to us for us to look at work. And it was just like so many fans. Like, they're not fair weather fans, obviously, up there. It's negative degrees, the wind's blowing, they're out there cooking, having a good time. And a lot of those people have stood by that team for so long to see them make it to the playoffs finally. And out of all that, to play the Steelers, it's kind of like that, Ohio State football kind of shit. Like, it's cool. It's a good rivalry. It's going to be a good game. I can't stand Roethlisberger as a person, just because of some choices he's made in the past. Yep. But yet I've always had him for the most part on my fantasy teams. Back to the Palomalo days, Jerome Bettis, Heath Miller. Like, I kind of liked the Steelers at one point. Hines Ward, yeah, definitely.
So does that make you the Jerry Jones of fantasy football then? That regardless of character, all you care about is stats and W's.
Fantasy football player, man.
Pretty much. Yeah, I could care less. I don't really care what you've done. If you can get me some money, I'll put you on my team. You can punch babies in the face. It's cool. Come on, get on my team.
Well, you and Jerry Jones have a lot in common then.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, I don't badmouth Jerry either. It's cool, whatever. But no, I think the Browns are going to do it. I hope the Browns are going to do it. So I'm gonna go for them because I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be pretty evenly matched. If I had to do a win spread, the Browns by 3.
All right. Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, guys, that brings us to conclusion for the final segment of the show. So Trey, I'm going to hand it off to you to close it out for us.